A dangerous train trip happened on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is March 17th, 2023. It is the 76th day of the year. There are 289 days left in 2023. It's the 11th Friday in the 11th week and the 87th day of winter. There's 3 days left until Okay, so that was a mistake. I pulled up the wrong script. Okay, here, let's try this again. A dangerous train trip happened on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is May 17th. 2023. It is the 137th day of the year. There are 228 days left in 2023. It is the 20th Wednesday in the 20th week and the 59th day of spring. There are 35 days left until summer. That makes so much more sense. What happened was I was reading over some of my old scripts, and I guess when I started this video, I had the wrong one open. But today is National Mushroom Hunting Day. National Mushroom Hunting Day is an annual holiday that falls on May 17th. This holiday was created in 2014 by mushroom lover Jace Shoemaker Galloway. If you're going to hunt, you need to know how to identify which mushrooms are edible and which ones will kill you. I remember years ago, these two little boys had been orphaned, I guess in Russia or something like that, and they'd come to the United States. They were living in, I believe, El Segundo with their family, and I guess the mushrooms, wherever they came from, it wasn't uncommon to eat them. Well, they saw some at the park in whatever city this is in California, and they ate them, and they were poisonous. The two little boys died. So sad. I always remember that, and I'm talking that's like a 30-year-old story, and it stuck with me this whole time. All right, let's see what else May 17th has given us. 1792, the New York Stock Exchange is formed under the Buttonwood Agreement. 1900, the children's novel The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum is first published in the United States. The first copy is given to its author's sister. This was a very interesting thing. Besides The Wizard of Oz being just an amazing book and classic movie, there was a lot that went into it over the years, including Disney trying to buy it a couple times, and finally I think it was on the third try to buy it right before they opened up the Disneyland park in Anaheim, California. They finally got the rights to it, and they sold the rights to it. There is a ton of trivia that goes on with The Wonderful Wizard of Oz and the movie The Wizard of Oz. One of my favorite, which I've read, it's also inaccurate, but L. Frank Baum, back in the day, you had clothes custom made for you and your name was often sewn into it. Clothes weren't just throwaway things like they are today. You know, you wear it for a year and you get rid of it, 2 or whatever. So when they were filming the movie The Wizard of Oz, one of the prop people went down to a secondhand store and started looking for clothing or whatever, and they brought a coat. The coat ended up being worn by one of the gentlemen in the movie as a, you know, it's his costume. In the lining of the coat was the author's name, L. Frank Baum. Now, like I said, some people say that's true. I've read other things that it was just made up, but who knows? 1973, the Watergate Scandal. The televised hearings begin in the United States Senate. Now, this was the early days before we had cable, and so them actually putting it on television was kind of a big deal. Only the biggest news coming out of the government really made it onto television. I mean, they'd have little blurbs with the nightly news or whatever, but this was like hours of hearings. Keep in mind, at 1973, there wasn't 200 channels, you know? There was like 4 news channels, that's it. 1977, Nolan Bushnell opened the first showbiz pizza place. Later, it was renamed to Chuck E. Cheese. This happened in San Jose, California. For the longest time, I heard it's gone, I'm not sure, but one of the off-ramps to the freeway in San Jose, there was one of the original Chuck E. Cheese, if not the original one. They had like a 12-foot Chuck E. Cheese there. It was huge. It's like 2 stories, more than 12 feet. 1983, the U.S. Department of Energy declassifies documents showing the world's largest mercury pollution event in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, ultimately found to be about 4.2 million pounds of mercury. In response to the Appalachian Observer's Freedom of Information Act, it got released. 1990, the General Assembly of the World Health Organization, or WHO, eliminates homosexuality from its list of psychiatric diseases. 1995, a man named Sean Nelson steals an M60 tank from the California Army National Guard Armory in San Diego and proceeds to go on a rampage. So this guy knew his way around a tank. I guess he was a veteran, and he had some mental issues, obviously, and I think he was homeless at the time. Well, he jumped the fence, got inside an M60 tank, which they don't use anymore. It's like Vietnam and Korea era tank, and he started driving through the neighborhoods. And as you can imagine, the police were kind of baffled on how they were going to stop this. He drove right through motorhomes, ran over cars. So nothing can slow a tank down. this side of another tank. Well, that is unless you try and cross the median on the freeway and that cement barrier kind of gets stuck underneath the tank. And that's what happened. After driving on SR 163, Nelson crashed the tank into a 3-foot high traffic barrier. The impact dislodged one of the tank's treads. 4 San Diego Police Department officers boarded the tank and opened the hatch. Now it was in what they call combat lockdown, so they needed bolt cutters. Nelson refused to surrender and attempted to dislodge the police by spinning the tank, which is a common thing when people are trying to attack your tank. Having no armament capable of penetrating the armor and unsure whether Nelson was armed, the police shot him. They opened up the hatch, stuck the gun in there, and just shot him. 2 days after the incident, the Los Angeles Times reported that Nelson was shot in the right shoulder, and the New York Times said he was alive when he was pulled from the tank. 18 days later after the event, People magazine published that Nelson had been shot in the left shoulder, killing him immediately. Sharp Memorial Hospital later reported that Nelson died of gunshot wounds, as in several, and the San Diego coroner's office said that Nelson smelled of alcohol. Like always when something like this happens, Nelson's family and friends criticized the shooting, saying the police should have used tear gas or crisis negotiation. I'm sorry, but when a tank goes tear-assing down your neighborhood, running over cars and motorhomes, it's just a matter of time before he kills someone. They needed to end it right away. And it's unfortunate that a life was lost, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Kind of reminds me of when that elephant at the circus went crazy in Hawaii and started running people over and busting through fences, and they eventually shot him as he got onto the street. And I just remember some lady going, they didn't have to shoot him. No, I think they should have probably talked to him and see if they could talk it out, That's what they needed to do with the elephant. I think negotiations were over for the elephant when he came running out of a circus tent with clowns and baby strollers attached to his legs. By the way, the elephant attack, nobody died, other than the handler of the elephant. 2004, the first legal same-sex marriage in the U.S. is performed in the state of Massachusetts. 2007, trains from North and South Korea crossed the 38th parallel in a test run agreed by both governments. This is the first time the trains have crossed the demilitarized zone since 1953. 7 years after that test run, on May 4th, 2014, the first regular service happened. Then service came to a halt in 2019. Now it's, been suspended all to this point, and that's apparently because they're building new tracks, but because of the pandemic and then they had an outbreak of African swine flu, they kind of haven't got back into service yet. I don't even know if they've finished the tracks or the upgrades. Movies released on May 17th, 2019, John Wick, Chapter 3, PARABELLUM. This is the third installment of the John Wick franchise, in which John Wick, super assassin, is on the run after killing a member of an international assassins guild. Great movie. Oddly enough, I'm not really a big action movie. I need a little more story to things I watch. These are pretty good. And I've heard there's a fourth one coming out soon. Born on May 17th, 1956, Bob Saget. Best known early in his career as Danny Tanner on Full House. He's also known as the original host of America's Funniest Home Videos, and he provided the voice of the future Ted Mosby in How I Met Your Mother. In 2016, he reprised his role as Danny Tanner in the Netflix follow-up series Full House called Fuller House. Sadly, as we all know, he died a couple years back in his hotel room. They think he slipped getting out of the shower, hit his head, thought he was okay. He wasn't. He died in his sleep. Died on May 17th, 2012, we lost Donna Summers, multiple Grammy Award-winning singer and songwriter and disco queen, who released Bad Girls and I Love to Love You, Baby. She released all kinds of music. I don't know why those are the ones they picked out. MacArthur Park I thought was great. Yeah, I'm dating myself. When she was in high school, she used to sneak out of her window at her parents' house, bust through curfew, and attend parties. Her first public performance was when she was 10 years old. Donna Summers died on May 17, 2012 at the age of 63 at her home in Naples, Florida from lung cancer. Being a non-smoker, Summers theorized that her cancer had been caused by inhaling toxic fumes and dust from the September 11th attacks in New York. She was in her apartment near Ground Zero when the attacks occurred. However, some reports have instead attributed the cancer to Summers' smoking during her younger years and her continued exposure to secondhand smoking while performing in clubs well after she had quit. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, and be nice to each other.